I was halfway through slicing into the steak when her father leaned across the table and said it. The one sentence that would gut me deeper than the blade in my hand ever could. "Ethan," he said, eyes twitching behind those polished glasses of his. "I think you should forgive Madison and help raise the baby." The baby. The one she had with another man. The one conceived while I was at home, building a life for us. The room went silent. Even the clinking forks from her mother and sister froze midair. Madison didn't flinch. She sat there, crossing her legs, sipping her damn Chardonnay like this was brunch, not the funeral of our marriage. Her expression? Blank, maybe even smug. "You're joking," I said, voice calm, too calm. Inside, a fire had just lit. It spread fast, suffocating. Her dad cleared his throat. "She's been through a lot. This man, this other guy, he wasn't good to her. I know it's hard, but—" "Oh, I'm sorry," I interrupted, smiling that kind of smile that barely masks rage. "She let another man use her like a doormat, got pregnant, and now I'm supposed to fund the consequences?" Madison finally looked up. "You weren't there for me, Ethan. That was it. No apology. No tears. No remorse. Just that one loaded accusation, like my loyalty and sacrifice for 5 straight years didn't matter." I laughed. A hollow, broken laugh that probably sounded insane to her whole family. I turned to her brother-in-law, who stared at his mashed potatoes like they held the secrets to the universe. "You hearing this, Nick?" He didn't say a word, just adjusted his collar. "Tell him what you told me, Mads," I said, voice tightening. Her tongue darted across her lips, casual. "I said you were distant, that you were more married to your job than to me. And when Tyler came along, he made me feel seen. He cared." "Cared?" I snapped. "He abused me. Threatened me when I found his messages on your phone. And you let him sleep in our bed." Her dad looked pale. "I didn't know that." "No," I hissed. "Of course you didn't. Because your daughter doesn't just cheat. She rewrites the whole story." Madison leaned back and let out a sigh. "You always exaggerate. You're such a victim." And there it was, the venom. The icy indifference in her tone that finally cut through every delusion I had left. Madison wasn't sorry. She was calculating. Cold. And somewhere along the way, she decided I was a convenience she could drain. My hands curled into fists beneath the table. I wanted to flip it over, break every plate, every glass, and every fake smile sitting around it. But I didn't. Instead, I stood up. "Let me get this straight," I said, staring down at her father. "You want me to forgive your daughter for lying, cheating, humiliating me, and now raise another man's child, a man who tried to ruin me?" Her dad stayed silent. His eyes were glassy. I turned to Madison. "You really think I'm that weak?" She shrugged. "I thought you loved me." "I did," I whispered. "God help me, I did. But whatever the hell you are now, I don't recognize you anymore." Then I walked out. No dessert. No goodbye. No drama. But in my chest, a storm had just started. And this was only the beginning. I drove for hours that night. No destination, just the endless hum of the road and the roar in my head. Her words kept looping. "You weren't there for me. You're such a victim." Like I had imagined the silence, the locked phone, the missed dinners, the nights she came home smelling like someone else and blaming me for her behavior. I stopped at a gas station around midnight. Just sat in the car, engine off, staring out at the flickering neon sign that read, "Open 24 hours." Kind of like the pain I was feeling, nonstop, always on, no closing time. My phone buzzed. It was a message from her. "Madison, I can't believe you embarrassed me in front of my family like that. Not I'm sorry. Not I messed up. Just more of the same twisted delusion where I was the villain in her soap opera." I didn't respond. Instead, I opened the Notes app. I started writing. Not to her. For me. I listed everything. Every red flag I had ignored. Every time I let things slide. Every time I swallowed my pride for the sake of love. By the time I looked up, an hour had passed, and I realized something terrifying. This wasn't new. This had been building for years. The cheating was just the final slap. I remembered last October. She had gone camping with her old college friends. No signal, no photos, no real explanation. Came back with a new necklace she claimed was from her friend Claire. Claire, who didn't exist on any of her socials. Claire, who I'd never met. Claire, who apparently had better taste in jewelry than Madison herself. But I didn't say anything. I smiled, welcomed her back, carried her bag inside like a fool. Another buzz. This time a call. It was her dad. I let it ring out, but then he sent a voicemail. I played it on speaker as I sat in the quiet car. Ethan, I know you're hurt. But please, don't make things worse. Madison is still my daughter. The baby is innocent. We're a family. Families forgive. I nearly crushed the phone in my hand. Forgive? Forgive the woman who let a man she met on Instagram move into our lives behind my back. Who stood by while he sent me threats and made jokes about me in her messages. Who told her own father that I deserved to be treated this way. I closed my eyes, head resting on the steering wheel. My heart wasn't just broken, it felt contaminated. Touched by something filthy I couldn't scrub off. That's when it hit me. The baby. If she had this child, and it wasn't mine, and she planned to raise it with my help. What did she think I was? A bank? A doormat? A savior? She wanted me to take responsibility for the outcome of her betrayal. To wear the crown of the loyal husband while she danced off into motherhood, baggage-free. The rage returned, sharper than before. And suddenly, I knew what I had to do. Not revenge. Not some loud declaration. I had to cut the cord. Not just from her, but from every toxic thread her life had wrapped around mine. The house. She could keep it. I wanted nothing that had her fingerprints on it. The friends we shared? Let them pick sides. Her dad? If he called again, I'd block the number. I had been loyal. I had been patient. I had been a man in love. But now I was something else. And she was about to find out exactly what. The next morning, I returned to the house. Not to talk. Not to argue. Just to gather what was mine and leave with silence louder than any scream she could throw at me. I parked on the street instead of the driveway. I didn't want her to hear the garage door. I wanted this clean. Quiet. Final. The front door was unlocked. Of course it was. She always thought nothing bad would ever happen to her. Maybe because she was the bad thing that happened to others. I stepped inside and the scent hit me. Something sweet and artificial, like she was trying to cover up her decay with overpriced candles. Her voice came from upstairs. She was on the phone. I froze halfway up the steps when I heard the name. Tyler. She was laughing. Yeah, he stormed out like a little boy. You should have seen his face when Dad asked him to pay for the baby. I swear, Tyler, he's going to crack any second. My chest burned. My jaw locked so tight it hurt. And still, I listened. I don't even know if it's yours or Jacob's, she continued. But it doesn't matter. Ethan's good for it. He'll cover it all. He always does. That's when I made the mistake of letting the floor creak under my foot. The laugh stopped. I heard a drawer slam upstairs. Hold on, she said quickly into the phone, then silence. She came to the top of the stairs barefoot, wearing one of my old t-shirts. The one I told her once reminded me of our first weekend away. Now it looked like a crime scene. What are you doing here? She asked, arms crossed like she owned the place. I held her gaze. Just grabbing my things. You could have called. I didn't feel like getting another lecture about how this is all my fault. She rolled her eyes. Ethan, you're being dramatic. No, Madison. Dramatic is cheating on your husband and then asking him to raise your mystery child while you brag about it to your boyfriend over the phone. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I walked past her and into the bedroom, pulled open the closet. She followed me like a ghost, arms folded, face tight. You're seriously leaving everything? I zipped up the suitcase. I'm leaving everything that touched you. You're acting like I'm some kind of monster. I turned to her, calm. No, Madison, you're not a monster. Monsters are feared. You're just pathetic. And the worst part is, I still would have forgiven you if you told the truth. But you didn't. You weaponized my kindness. You expected me to be too broken to walk away. She laughed, dry and cruel. So what? You're going to start over? With who? No one wants a sad little man who couldn't satisfy his wife. That one hit. Not because it was true, but because I realized then she'd been storing that poison, holding it for this exact moment. She wanted to humiliate me one last time before I left. A final slap to carry with me. I zipped the bag and stood up. You know what's funny, Madison? You think you've won. You really do. But in 10 years, you'll be alone, bitter, and full of stories about a man you used to have who would have walked through fire for you. And no one will believe you let him go. She opened her mouth, but I was already walking out. This time, I didn't look back. I walked out the front door and into the sunlight like it owed me something. And maybe it did. I didn't cry until I was halfway to my brother's place. Not because I was sad, not at first. It was rage, pure, venomous rage that finally cracked something inside me. The kind of anger that chokes you, that makes your vision blur and your hands tremble on the steering wheel. I pulled over, punched the dashboard hard enough to bruise my knuckles, and sat there breathing like I'd just run a marathon barefoot through glass. She was gone. Not physically, but the woman I married, the woman I believed in. She hadn't existed for a long time, and I'd been too damn blind to see it. I thought about every moment that suddenly didn't make sense. The nights she came home late with vague stories. The passive-aggressive comments. The way she flinched when I touched her shoulder, but lit up when her phone buzzed. I remembered the time she made me delete a female coworker's number because boundaries, only to find out months later she'd saved Tyler's under a fake name. Lauren HR. Real classy. And still, I had told myself stories. That she was stressed. That she was just going through something. That love means patience, and loyalty fixes everything. Turns out, loyalty to the wrong person just makes you a fool. I arrived at my brother Logan's place around 9 p.m. He opened the door in gym shorts and a confused look. Dude, what happened? I didn't speak. Just walked past him, dropped the suitcase in the living room, and collapsed onto the couch. He followed, stood in front of me with crossed arms, waiting. She cheated, I said finally. It was going on for months. Maybe years. She's pregnant. It's not mine. Logan didn't react right away. Just lowered himself into the recliner across from me and let out a long, low breath. And let me guess, he said, she made it your fault? I nodded slowly. Her dad said I should raise the kid. Help her. Be the bigger man. Logan's jaw clenched. That's some next-level delusion. I left everything behind, I said. Clothes, furniture, photos, even the damn ring I gave her. I walked out with just this bag. He looked at the suitcase like it had blood on it. Good. You did the right thing. No, I whispered, voice shaking. I did the right thing 5 years too late. He didn't argue. He just stood, walked to the kitchen, and came back with 2 beers. We drank in silence for a while. The kind of silence where everything is too loud in your own head to speak. Later that night, when he went to bed, I sat in the dark staring at the ceiling, phone in hand. Madison hadn't called again. No apology. No explanation. Just that last hit she threw at me about being a sad little man. I opened my photo gallery and deleted every picture of her. Every selfie, every vacation, every fake smile that now felt like a knife twisting in my gut. And then I did something harder. I opened a new document and started typing a letter. Not to her. To the future version of me. Because I needed to remember this feeling. This moment. The taste of betrayal. The weight of stupidity. The hollow echo of being played. Because one day she'll call. They always do. And I'll need to remember exactly why I should never answer. A week passed. 7 days of waking up in a different bed, without the routine I'd built my life around. No smell of her coffee. No hair ties in the sink. No petty arguments about the thermostat. Just the dull ache of absence. Hers, mine, and everything I thought we were. I kept waiting for the crash. For the emotional collapse. But it didn't come. What came instead was clarity. I started noticing how light felt different in the mornings. How silence, real silence, wasn't suffocating. I went for walks. Long ones. Just me, my thoughts, and a phone that finally stopped buzzing with her name. She didn't reach out. Not once. Not to apologize. Not to ask where I was. Not even to finish her tantrum from before. And that, somehow, stung more than the cheating. Because it told me everything I needed to know. I was disposable. To her, I had never been a person. Just a provider. A shield. A character she used in her story until he stopped being useful. Then came Tuesday night. I got a call from a blocked number. I never answer those. But something in me did, just this once. A woman's voice. Shaky. Nervous. Ethan. Yeah. Who's this? This is Olivia. Tyler's ex. The room stopped moving. I'm sorry to call you. I know you don't know me, she said quickly. But I found your number in one of his old chats. I thought you should know. He's dangerous. My skin went cold. I already know that, I said. He threatened me. Played house in my marriage. Got her pregnant. Not sure what else you think I need to know. She hesitated. He's not just manipulative. He's violent. I have a restraining order against him. When I left him last year, he broke into my place, trashed my car. I didn't think Madison was dumb enough to stick around. But she's not just sleeping with a liar. She's sleeping with a live grenade. I closed my eyes. And the baby? I asked. He told me it wasn't his. He bragged that he convinced her it was so he could get back at you. A silence stretched between us. I didn't thank her, didn't curse her. I just hung up. I didn't know any one words right now. I owed myself a decision. The next morning, I called my lawyer. We'd never talked divorce before. I had never even looked up the process. But I wanted it airtight. No loopholes. No alimony. No way for her to cling to me when her fairy tale inevitably burned to ash. I want to be invisible to her, I told him. Like I never existed. He paused, then said, "That's not easy. But it's doable." We met that afternoon. Papers. Signatures. A plan. Then I did the one thing I swore I wouldn't. I went back to the house one last time. She was outside, on the porch, barefoot in a silk robe, phone pressed to her ear. She saw me and narrowed her eyes. "Oh, look who finally grew a pair." I didn't respond. Just held out the envelope. "What's this?" "Reality," I said. "Read it." She opened it, skimmed the first page, then looked up at me like I'd kicked her dog. "You're divorcing me?" "No. I'm cutting the tumor out." "You think this is going to fix everything?" "No. But it's going to fix me." She scoffed, but there was a tremor in her voice. "You're pathetic." I took a step forward. "You know what the difference is between you and me, Madison? I stayed loyal to someone who didn't deserve it. You betrayed someone who did. And one day, that difference will haunt you." She threw the envelope onto the ground. I didn't pick it up. I just turned and walked away again. But this time I knew. She was the one watching me disappear. The divorce papers landed hard. I could tell by the silence. Not the angry kind, the dangerous kind. Madison didn't call, didn't text, didn't even send one of her snide little guilt trap emails. For 3 days, she said nothing. Then she showed up at my brother's place. Logan was at work. I had the house to myself. I just stepped out of the shower, still toweling my hair, when the doorbell rang. I opened it without thinking. She stood there in black leggings, sunglasses pushed up on her head, holding a manila folder like it was a bomb she was about to throw. "You're not answering your phone," she said. "I know," I replied, stepping aside. "You've got 2 minutes." She walked in slowly, looking around like she was trying to remember what decency felt like. Then she turned, folded her arms, and said it. "I want child support." I laughed. Not the polite kind. The kind that sounds like something cracked open inside your chest. "Madison, you don't even know who the father is." She flinched. "Just a tick." "I know it's not yours," she said. "But I can still file for spousal support." "No, you can't. I had my lawyer seal everything. You'll get nothing." She tossed the folder onto the coffee table. "You want to play hardball, Ethan? Fine. But when people start asking why you abandoned a pregnant woman, pregnant with another man's child," I snapped. "Don't forget that part. I didn't abandon anyone. I escaped." She shook her head, smile returning, sharp, cold, venomous. "You're going to be alone forever. You think some other woman's going to want you after this. Better alone than lied to, used, and humiliated." She moved closer, lowered her voice. "You think you're better than me now, don't you?" "No. I just finally see who you are." She stood there for a beat too long, breathing shallow. Then, without another word, she turned and left. No door slam. Just quiet footsteps and the click of her heels fading down the sidewalk. I didn't chase her. I didn't even close the door. I just stood there, staring at the folder she'd left behind. Inside were sonogram pictures. A handwritten note in soft cursive. "I thought you should know." Know what? That she could still try to manipulate me with images of a child that wasn't mine? That her last card to play was the one thing she thought would make me feel obligated? She didn't understand. Not yet. This wasn't guilt. This was liberation. I burned the note. A week later, I had a new apartment. Nothing fancy, just clean, quiet mine. I slept like a rock the first night. No dreams. No pacing. No sound of her brushing her teeth while lying through the mirror. In the following days, the calls started. Friends who'd heard her side. The sympathy check-ins. The concerned texts that all ended the same way. "Are you okay?" My answer was always the same. "I will be." And I meant it. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for her to come home, or change, or love me the way I deserved. I wasn't rewriting the story to make it less painful. I wasn't trying to fix what was already dead. I was breathing again, and I wasn't going back. 2 months passed. Enough time for the dust to settle, but not enough for the scars to fade. People kept asking how I was holding up, as if I'd survived some natural disaster, and they were just waiting for the aftershock. But there was no aftershock. The worst had already happened. What followed was just rebuilding. I went back to the gym, started cooking my own meals, slept in silence without the TV humming in the background, without her shifting next to me and texting Tyler, or Jacob, or whoever the hell was next in line. I didn't check her social media, didn't stalk her stories. I had seen all I needed to. But pain has a way of echoing in strange places. At the grocery store, I saw a woman who wore the same perfume as Madison, and for a moment, I felt the punch in my gut again. At a red light, I caught a glimpse of a car that looked like hers and felt my pulse spike. But I didn't chase the feeling. I let it pass. That was the difference now. Then one night, Logan came over. He tossed a brown envelope onto the counter without a word. "What's this?" I asked. "Something you need to see." Came to my address, probably because she doesn't know where you live now. Inside were photos. Printed ones, like from a private investigator. Madison with Tyler, laughing outside a courthouse. Her hand was on his chest. He was grinning like the devil who just won a custody battle. There was a sticky note attached. "Guess who just got a paternity test?" That's when it hit me like a freight train. She lied to him too. The baby wasn't his. And yet there they were, playing house. Probably telling each other I was the villain in their twisted little fairy tale. I should have felt smug, vindicated. But I didn't. I just felt tired. Tired of the games. The drama. The sickness that followed her like perfume. "You okay?" Logan asked. I nodded. "Yeah, I'm good." Because I was. Later that week, I got an email from an old friend. Her name was Brooke. We used to work together years ago before Madison made me delete her number. She wrote, "I don't know if it's okay to reach out, but I heard what happened. I just wanted to say, I always thought you deserved better. If you ever want to grab coffee, let me know." I stared at the screen for a long time. Not because I was hesitant. Because for the first time, someone didn't want anything from me but my time. No guilt. No manipulation. No sob story. Just kindness. And damn, it felt foreign. I replied, "I'd like that." No expectations. No fantasies. Just a clean page. A different kind of silence followed that decision. Not the hollow kind Madison left behind, but the peaceful kind you get when something toxic finally stops whispering in your ear. That was the moment I knew. I wasn't healing for her. I was healing from her. Spring came early that year. The city thawed, and so did I. I found new routines, simple things. Morning coffee on the balcony. A playlist without her favorite songs. Sunday mornings at the bookstore down the street where no one knew my name or my story. It was peaceful, honest. I met Brooke for coffee 2 weeks after that email. We didn't talk about Madison. She didn't ask. She didn't need to. She looked me in the eye like I hadn't been shattered. Like I was still a man, not some broken-down version of myself limping through grief. We talked about music, work, how good it felt to breathe without explanation. She made me laugh. A real laugh. Not the hollow bark I'd grown used to. And just like that, life started to feel real again. I kept moving forward. Every day, a little lighter. Every day, more myself. I stopped reacting to Madison's noise, her Instagram pity posts, the mutual friends who tried to keep me updated, her latest stunt where she claimed I was the one who cheated. I didn't respond. Because you don't argue with fire once you've learned to stop walking into it. Then came the final thread. Her father. He called me from an unknown number. Left a voicemail. "Ethan, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. About everything. You were right. All of it. I see it now." He sounded broken. Defeated. A man who finally saw the mess his daughter had made, and who she really was. He didn't ask me to come back. Didn't ask me to forgive. Just offered a truth, too late to matter. I didn't return the call. Because closure isn't something you beg for. It's something you become. And I did. Here's what I learned. Love can blind you. It can turn red flags into fairy lights. It can convince you to carry the weight of someone else's poison and call it devotion. But the moment you let go, really let go, you realize love doesn't demand that you lose yourself. If you're with someone who needs to break you to feel whole, run. If they twist your loyalty into a leash, cut it. And if they ever dare to ask you to forgive them for a betrayal, they still defend. Don't speak. Just disappear. Let them live with the echo of your silence. Because that's what real freedom sounds like.